Yeah, so let's dive right in. Should we say who we are first?
Sure. Go ahead.
I'm Bobby. I'm a Star Wars nerd, and I have been since 1999.
I'm Casey. I'm a all-around nerd, and I have been since, the first time I saw Star Wars probably in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
He's older than me. He's an old
I feel
dog.
it. I feel
An
it.
old salty dog.
Yeah.
Pauses. I should be taking the lead on this. We'll find our footing. Don't worry. Yeah, so I just feel like we both have cool things to say, and no one else is saying them, and we want to get it out there. So let's get started with episode 4 of The Acolyte.
Episode 4 of The Acolyte. Absolutely.
Featuring Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite Jedi.
Everyone at this couch loves him.
Yeah. I have never once made fun of Ki-Adi-Mundi while I was watching the prequels. Not once.
Not every time he's mentioned did Casey say something about him.
And his tall head and his dumb ponytail.
And his many wives.
And
children he feels no attachment towards.
Yeah. He's just trying to repopulate his planet.
Yeah.
How dare he?
Thanks for nothing. Well, I mean, he gets to live in a palace in the Jedi Council chamber. He goes home, bangs a few women, plays with his kids, and then leaves for 10 years. Like, am I jealous? Maybe.
Zero jealousy here. Really wish you would have taken the threat of the Sith more seriously in the prequels.
That actually brings us nicely to this episode. There's been some controversy about the existence of a dark side user and Ki-Adi-Mundi's potential awareness of this, and a line he says in Phantom Menace, the Sith have been extinct for more than a millennia.
Nowhere in this episode do they say that it's a Sith.
No.
So it does not break canon.
And even specifically, they say, is it a splinter sect? Like,
yes.
They're referring to something not the Sith that this could be. And I would say, also important to note, the existence of a red lightsaber doesn't make someone a Sith.
That is correct. Anyone can bleed a kyber crystal.
If they're angry enough.
The Sith is a specific religion.
Yeah, it's a belief system
that people have to adhere to.
Yeah,
in order to be considered Sith. Same as Jedi.
Yeah, not every person who wields the Force for good is a Jedi.
There's plenty.
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka walked away from the Jedi Order and still doing good out in the galaxy. Not a Jedi.
Yeah. So there's no canon breaking there, and Ki-Adi-Mundi is now older than we thought he was in the old EU.
Again, when Lucasfilm was purchased by Disney back in 2012, I believe the purchase happened. Maybe I'm off on that.
That sounds about right.
Somewhere in that area. They did away with the EU. Yeah. And so
they've taken pieces of it and reused them, altered them.
Some for the better.
Yeah, some for the worse.
Some for the worse. But part of that was Ki-Adi-Mundi did not have an established date of birth in current canon.
Yeah. And neither did his species have a longevity.
So, again, canon, not broken.
Yeah.
So, quit belly aching about that.
When I watch Star Wars now, and I see them bring something back from the EU, I just get excited. I'm like, oh, cool. I knew that back in the day. I didn't know if it was going to be true or not. And it is.
100%.
I was pretty disappointed when they canceled the old EU and just decanonized everything except for the movies and the Clone Wars show. Because I had read a lot of books and played a lot of games and read a lot of Wikipedia articles.
That's fair. But even while you were enjoying those as a young lad,
I didn't love all of it.
Uncle George did not consider it canon. George Lucas is on record in interviews and stuff as saying that he never considered the EU stuff canon. It all he cared about were his movies and his shows. That's what George Lucas cared about. So even as much as longtime fans of Star Wars who loved the EU and everything, like, it's awesome that we had that stuff to enjoy and love for all those years, but it was never considered canon.
Right.
It was just like, for lack of a better phrase, glorified fan fiction.
Yeah, I mean, it had some, like, some legitimacy, because George Lucas approved all of it for publication, but his idea was that his idea changed a bit over the years, but at one point the idea was Luke and Vader destroy the Emperor, bring balance to the Force. There's 1,000 years of peace after that. That's the end of the story. He did write a treatment for sequel trilogy that apparently focused a lot on stormtroopers. We can get into that another time, but yeah, it was never truly canon, never as canon as the movies. There were things in it that I didn't like. Unpopular opinion, I never liked the clone resurrection of Palpatine. I didn't like it the first time they did it, and I didn't like it the second time either.
What? Somehow Palpatine returned?
Yeah, people got so upset at that, but that original comic, Dark Empire, was pretty well loved by everyone.
I have it in the closet.
Yeah, it came out when I was born, so I never really got attached to it. Though it came out around the same time as the Thrawn trilogy, which I did get attached to. And as a EU thing that they brought into canon that worked.
Yes.
Thrawn is great.
Thrawn is amazing.
Thrawn
is my second favorite villain in all of Star Wars, after my boy Maul.
Yeah. I think Thrawn is better in the books than in the shows, but he's depicted pretty well in the shows.
Yeah.
We can mince that another time, but yeah, fantastic. And Maul totally rules. I really didn't like that they brought him back initially, but I let it slide. I love pick nits about it.
I love that they brought him back. Thank you, Disney, for bringing back Maul.
Well, he was in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
thank you, Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni,
and your glorious cowboy hat.
Yeah, I used to hate him and his cowboy hat too, but it's wrong to hate. Hate is wrong. Can we agree on that?
I've actually recently
stopped hating things.
I'm trying to stop saying that things are bad, and start saying that if I don't like something, it just wasn't meant for me. It's just not for me.
That's good.
Who am I to say that a piece of art that someone poured themselves into is bad?
Right.
Some people out there find joy in it. And
it just wasn't for you?
It just wasn't for me.
I think that's an important distinction to make. That I don't like something doesn't mean that it's bad. You might think that it's bad because that's why you don't like it, but
there's only one thing that I'll ever say is bad. Under my new mantra. We'll get into that in a later episode.
I was like, are we gonna?
We'll get into that in a later episode.
Because then this is gonna turn into a 3-hour long recording.
So we're sticking with the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Episode 4.
Yeah.
Bringing it full circle.
Get back on track.
Ki-Adi-Mundi doesn't break canon.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I thought it was cool to see him. I like
the
little tiny fan service. Like, hey, here's someone you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
There was a Kel Dor. I'm getting sidetracked again. I just like seeing a Kel Dor.
Not Plo Koon. But still very cool to see that species.
Yeah.
There is one very famous Jedi that is definitely around in this time period.
Yoda.
I was going to go with Yaddle. But,
yeah, I was thinking Yaddle was my alternate.
The other one, Yoda. Yeah.
Maybe you've heard of him.
Yeah. The lesser of his species, I guess. Sorry, Yaddle.
He needs to get with the times. She has a young perspective.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it would be cool to see. I understand why they don't want to include Yoda in the show, because it might be like overshadowing what they're trying to do with the show.
Yeah.
Everyone will be like, "Oh my God, Yoda!" But yeah, I'm like, it is, for me. It's a little distracting that he's not around the temple and stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
we know that he's alive. We know that he's a Jedi Master.
Mhm.
Like,
I'm assuming he's on. I don't know for a fact, but I'm assuming he's on the council.
so it's just like, why haven't we seen him?
Yeah.
Like,
And I think they addressed that when the Green Jedi, the lady.
Venestra?
Venestra, thank you. He's good with names. I'm not. She says that they can't tell the council what's going on, which is
Yeah.
so maybe Yoda doesn't know, or maybe he's just letting it slide like Jedi often do when someone's doing something bad.
The Jedi are flawed.
Yeah.
Brings us to another critique of this show that some people out there have.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand it.
The Jedi aren't meant to be perfect.
Oh my God, this show's making the Jedi bad. Like, the Jedi have never been perfect, okay?
Yeah. They're not supposed to be.
Except for Luke.
Yeah.
in the original trilogy. Luke,
up to a point.
Luke was the ultimate hero. Again,
well, I think it's important to note that he made mistakes, though. He wasn't perfect either.
Whoa.
Hey.
Whoa.
Let's talk about this. He ultimately succeeded, but he didn't succeed without making a mistake.
He didn't succeed the way Yoda and Obi-Wan wanted him to.
Right.
Because they wanted him to let his friends die.
Yeah.
And Luke...
Well, they would have got away. They got away.
Luke is the ultimate hero.
They got away without his help.
Yeah.
If he hadn't gone there, the only thing that would be different is that he wouldn't have known that Vader was his father, and he would still have both of his hands.
Yeah, well, the Force works in mysterious ways.
Yes, it does. Hey, I'm all for that.
He was meant to go.
He was. But he did.
Well,
lose a fight.
His mistake, yes, but it was a growing experience.
And he made it.
It was a learning and growing experience.
I'm not saying
he would he have become the Jedi that was as badass as he was in Return of the Jedi
without making a few mistakes along the way to learn from.
But anyway, the Jedi in the prequels, especially, like, were shown. So, like, this whole idea that the Jedi are perfect and everything, like, even George Lucas with his prequels, like, was showing us that the Jedi are extremely flawed.
Yeah.
Like, with Ki-Adi-Mundi, with Mace Windu, even Yoda, as much as we love Yoda and as wise as Yoda is considered, like,
he still makes mistakes too.
He still makes mistakes. Obi-Wan made mistakes. Like,
Anakin made a few mistakes too.
It's just, Anakin made one or two. But I'm just saying, like, it's just, we've been shown time and time again throughout this franchise that the Jedi are flawed.
Yeah.
So this whole, like, uproar surrounding the show that the Jedi on the show aren't perfect, it's, like, baffling to me.
Yeah. My only critique of it is I feel like they're showing the flaws of the Jedi more prominently in this show than in the prequels. And we could argue that point, but that's my only complaint, is that I feel like it should show them on a road to some level of corruption, not showing it this deeply. Though, ultimately, I can get past that because we're seeing the Jedi at a level of scrutiny that we haven't seen before.
Yeah. And again, we still have several episodes to go. So we're only, halfway through the show?
Yeah.
I believe. So, and as flawed as some of these Jedi are, Soul is awesome. Already up there as one of my favorite Jedi of all time.
Especially, you told me he modeled his performance after Qui-Gon Jinn, yeah?
Yeah,
who's my favorite Jedi.
The actor learned English for this role and modeled himself and his character and said his favorite is Qui-Gon Jinn, which one of the best Jedi to model yourselves after.
Yeah, definitely.
Talk about a Jedi who did not make many mistakes. Qui-Gon, because he saw. That's why
Seesaw.
That's why he wasn't on the council.
Yeah.
They were like, "You're a little too much of a rogue."
Yeah, you
buddy.
believe in the Force too much.
Yeah. How dare you?
Yeah. He saw the corruption in the Senate and in the Jedi, and he fought against it in his way. Same thing, his master Dooku also saw the corruption. He chose to leave the Order and go a different route and removing the corruption by embracing it.
R.I.P. Yaddle.
Yeah, there she goes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just watch that episode of Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Because it's so good. I keep having this thread that I keep losing track of.
But yeah, so the Acolyte, this episode was,
I enjoyed
to me,
it a lot.
chef's kiss.
Mm-hmm.
They're going looking for Kelnaka, the Wookiee, and it's basically a race between our heroes and our villains.
Yeah.
But May, along the way, it seems like she's had a change of heart.
Yeah.
Now that she knows her sister is there,
mm-hmm.
and she just wants to reunite with her sister and be happy with her sister, who she hasn't seen in, how long has it been? Like
14 years, 15 years?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So change of heart, which I'm interested to see where that goes.
Yeah, because I think she's been lied to and led to believe something that isn't true about. Well, both of them have. Neither of them know what happened that night.
Yeah.
Neither do we.
We don't know what happened that night.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to revisit the events of that night, which we saw play out in episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see. I'm curious
from another perspective.
So similar to, is it Rashomon by Akira Kurosawa, who was a huge influence on George Lucas, where you see the events you see the different perspectives of the same event play out throughout the film, and I'm interested. I really hope they do that in this show with the events of that night.
That'd be cool.
Where we go back and we see it through, like the
May's
eyes of
point of view,
May's point of view, or Saul's point of view. Mm-hmm. I really want to see that.
Also, that Iridonian lady, because she wasn't amongst the bodies, right?
You told
me that
she was not amongst the bodies. No,
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
It's intriguing.
I'm bringing up the names here.
People.
I'm not texting. I'm bringing up the names. I don't want to mess up these characters' names.
He's Snapchatting OnlyFans girls.
I am not.
He's not.
Oh, and the cool thing about Kelnaka, the Wookiee, he's played by the same actor who plays Chewbacca. Jonas Suetamo. Again,
Chewbacca is alive.
Probably butchering that name. Yeah, Chewbacca's alive.
Yeah.
Let's see that dude.
I don't think we'll see him.
No, we're not going to. He's doing his thing.
He's on Kashyyyk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking, what's their language?
Shriwook?
Which Yord points out in this episode that he did not study. Yeah.
He points out that he didn't study it?
Yeah. Because the Jedi study different languages.
He chose one with less nuance. Is that what he said?
Something like that. Yeah.
Does he speak to Little Beaver guy?
He did.
That's
what
it was. That's the one. Yeah.
And you know what? Yord is such an uptight, like, by the book.
He's quick to pull out that lightsaber.
Little weirdo. He is. He is way too quick to pull out the lightsaber.
I think he was newly knighted. He's just a young, brash Jedi Knight. Which
absolutely, I liked seeing that difference between him and the more seasoned Jedi Masters, like Soul and Carrie-Ann Moss.
Yeah, Trinity.
Yeah. I'm glad that we got more of her in
Yeah.
Dara. I'm glad we got more of her in the flashbacks because
Her dying in
the first 10 minutes of the show, I was like, they Drew Barrymore'd me. They Drew Barrymore'd me.
I knew they were going to have to do flashbacks because they can't. I mean, they could, but to put her, she is the first trailer of the show, and she's like, they really were hyping up the show around her, kind of, to then just pull the rug out from us. I was like, they're gonna. She's flashbacks.
There's a part of me that actually would have been okay with it. I would have been like, that's
sometimes
they got me.
I like when they get me. If they get me good, I allow it.
But speaking of the trailers, one thing that we haven't seen yet that I'm excited for.
What?
Lightsaber whip.
Yeah.
Or light whip. I guess it wouldn't be saber.
Did they show that in the trailer?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Vanestra.
Yeah.
Uses.
I know that she has the whip. How does it look?
Well, I don't know if it was in the trailer or if it was in promotional images. But they definitely tease that she's got the light whip, and I can't wait to see that in live action.
I wonder how they're gonna do it. Because
what do you mean?
Well, because like in the EU, there was a very specific way that it worked. This looks much different. Looks cool though. She has one in the comics. I think that's. I don't know that we've seen the live action version yet.
And she also had hair in the comics.
She did. What happened to her hair?
Something happened.
I want the origin story to that.
Yeah, I want. Tell me why she shaved her head.
Uh-huh.
And are those tattoos that
I think so.
Her species gets?
Is she like a blanking on the name, Barris Ophi? Is she
Barris Ophi?
Yeah. Are they the same race?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they tattoos?
I can't remember if they're tattoos or if they're just marks that they get that they're born with.
Yeah.
Probably tattoos.
Probably.
Right now, you people are yelling at us. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay to not know everything.
It's true.
And still enjoy it. That doesn't make you less of a fan.
That's true.
Surprisingly so.
Yeah. You don't have to have an encyclopedic knowledge.
Because I just mentioned that I just admitted I don't know something about Star Wars, and guess what? I'm still secure in my fandom of Star Wars.
Yeah. Star Wars-ality.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's okay to make mistakes. That's the theme of today's episode.
As I have the original trilogy on VHS on my shelf.
Yeah.
Behind the camera. So suck it.
Yeah, you have the OGs.
I do, the unedited.
I had the 1997 re-release.
Yeah.
Like the gold box.
I want to get that. I do want to get that. I'd like to have every version.
That'd be cool. Watch the progress
and like point out what they changed. See, they changed that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So in the episode, going through the jungle, May is
she wants to surrender to the Wookiee man.
She does, and she's got is it pronounced Khmer with her?
Yes.
And there's a lot of speculation
that he might be the Sith Lord or the guy.
Whoa!
We don't know. If
not
he's
Sith.
Sorry, slip of the tongue.
Not Sith. The Dark Force user.
Yeah.
Yeah. The smile. The
smile. Oh, right, because he's got
his helmet.
His teeth.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, and I've seen the chatter online that a lot of people are hoping that it turns out to be a red herring because it seems too obvious after this episode that it's Khmer, that kind of like he was just kind of testing her the whole time. For me,
able to keep an eye on her.
Like I'm of two minds of it. If it turned out to be a red herring and it was someone else, as long as it makes sense, whoever it is, I'm totally for that. But if it does turn out to be Khmer and he's testing her and kind of like playing this idiot, to me that harkens back to when we first meet Yoda in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
He's playing this weirdo in the swamp, and Luke doesn't realize who he is at first. And like George always loved, like, it's like poetry. It rhymes. So I'd actually be very okay with Manny Jacinto being the bad guy, the big bad of the show.
Yeah, it reminded me of, spoiler alert, Toby in Naruto. He turns out, spoiler alert, he turns out to be Obito. He's playing the fool.
This is the face of someone who does not get that reference.
Yeah,
I
you all get it though.
My brother and his wife have tried a couple times to get me into Naruto, and I just can't. I'm
You gotta
sorry,
do it, man.
There are several animes that I love
Mhm.
that I can get into. Naruto is not one of them. Though I will say, from the few episodes I've seen, Rock Lee is the only cool character. Boom. Rock Lee's my boy.
I do appreciate that every time you say that, you first discredit yourself. I've not seen much of this show. I know nothing about it and don't like it. But I know for a fact Rock Lee is the coolest character.
I mean, you catch on pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's
He's up there. He's a cool guy.
It's not like I'm watching videos of brain surgery.
It's a show full of cool characters. Anyway, Toby, he's playing the fool, and then he really showcases his power, and you find out that he's one of the strongest people in the world.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I would love the same thing to happen here. But also, if it doesn't, like you said, I kind of...
Yeah.
If they do the thing we all suspect, but do it well, I'm all for it. If they trick us,
exactly.
I like being tricked.
And like you just said, as long as it's done well.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend. I'm a huge pro wrestling fan as well,
mm-hmm.
and my buddy, my pro wrestling buddy, and I, we always say to each other that predictability does not mean it's bad.
Yeah.
As long as it's executed well, like, that's okay. Sometimes the predictable thing is the smart thing.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't swerve just for the sake of a swerve.
Because if people suspect it happening, it means the story is leading them in that direction.
Yeah. And like I said, if they do swerve, but it's done well and it serves the story well and everything, I'm totally okay with that as well.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if it turns out to be Khmer, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see in episode 5, because this episode ends on the ultimate.
I loved how it ended.
Cliffhanger. Like, he dropped the way he drops down.
The way he floats down.
I'm saying he. Again, we don't know. We don't know. So the way they float down behind
May.
OSHA. And it was so creepy. You just see it in the darkness, just floats down, and the way, like, the jerky movement of the head and the hands, like, so creepy.
Yeah.
Like,
the teeth, you get to see it up close for the first time.
Yeah.
And like, it looks like actual teeth.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Reminded me of Xenomorph a little bit.
Yeah,
like
it very
steel teeth. And
it
like
very much looks like the Xenomorph from Alien.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like, I wonder if that's what they were trying to evoke, because the first time we meet the Xenomorph in Alien, it comes down like from behind, exactly like this, like the bad guy here does.
Nothing happens by accident.
So, very, very evocative of Alien.
Yeah, and I love when a Force user floats, because they can totally do that, and you don't see it too often. In the old Gennady Tarkovsky Clone Wars show, Count Dooku floats down the first time he meets Asajj Ventress, and it's just a super cool scene.
Yeah. You know what I'd love to see more of? Force sprinting.
Yeah.
You know who I bet wishes they saw more of that too?
Qui-Gon?
Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why was Obi-Wan just jogging?
Yeah. Maybe he was saving his energy for the fight with Maul.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway,
part of the fun of being a Star Wars fan is making excuses for all the little things.
But
write your own lore.
But yeah, and then seeing all the Jedi, like draw their lightsabers in preparation for this fight, and then it just boom, it ends. So cool.
Yeah.
And
I'm more eager for the next episode.
I am such a fan, and you and I have had this discussion several times over the last few years. I am such a fan of the weekly release.
Yes. Yeah. Me too.
We grew up with it. Us older folk, we grew up with.
We had to wait a week.
Television being released one episode at a time, once a week, and it was appointment television.
Yep.
And everyone gathered around the TV to watch the new episode, and then we talked about it for the next week. Yeah. We were able to discuss it. At the water cooler at work, and they used to call it like a water cooler episode because they knew that that's what everyone was going to be discussing at work the next day.
Yeah. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties, but
no worries. So basically, what I was saying was,
water cooler show weekly release.
Yeah, and if this whole series had been dropped at once, you wouldn't have this awesome,
reflection period,
and this awesome like ending to this episode, because you would just go right into the next episode, and you wouldn't hit you the same way.
I agree. I think that week of build up after a cliffhanger like that is chef's kiss.
Yeah, and so I just love. I'm a very big fan of the weekly release schedule.
When the drop a whole season at once thing first started, it was pretty exciting. And I obviously, like everyone else, binged entire seasons of a show in a couple days or one day. And I think that has its place, but something dramatic like this, not to mention the fact that you and I would watch it at a different pace.
Yeah.
And so we wouldn't really be able to have a discussion about it. Sometimes I make you wait like weeks to talk about a show.
And it kills me.
Yeah.
And it kills me. But like, since we're touching on it, like, look at us talking about this show and this episode all week long.
Yeah.
And there's also like harken back to like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
What an appointment show that was. Everyone Sunday night around the TV watching Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Me and my roommates would make food and make a big event out of it.
And then think about, and it lasts for months.
Yeah.
You get to enjoy this show for months.
Yeah.
And then think about what's a huge hit for Netflix. Stranger Things. Stranger Things. Huge hit for Netflix. I love it. I still enjoy it. Looking forward to the final season when they're all 45 and still in high school. But I'm just saying, like, they dropped that all at once, and it's like you talk about it for that week, that first week, and you're like, oh my God, that was insane. Dude, did you see Vecna? Did you see,
whatever?
Like,
I didn't watch the show.
And it's just, but then after a week, it's
done.
It dies off, and it's like everyone's talked about it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think Netflix saw that a little bit. So with that last season of Stranger Things, they broke it into 2 parts. But still, like, it just wasn't, like, it was just like, I think a month apart or something. And I don't know. I just think the dropping it all at once method is dying.
I think it'd be good for like a sitcom, something that is more binge. Well, I mean, you can binge anything, but I think it works for certain things and not for others. I think that we're in a new era of media where the old rules don't necessarily have to apply, but some of them serve a greater function than what they used to. Like we talked about before, a show doesn't have to be 22 minutes long anymore.
Yeah.
A show can be as long as it needs to, and The Acolyte's a good example. There's a couple, like, high 20-minute episodes. I think there's a low 40-minute episode, too, because it just, whatever length the story needs to be. they can fill that void. They can tell the story that they need to.
Yeah.
And I think that particularly with a cliffhanger like this, having a week for everyone to gestate on it is crucial. Or a cliffhanger at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Even better.
That used to be the big thing. Like,
remember Best of Both Worlds, Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah.
You had to wait a year. Not a year, but you had to wait,
like
6 months?
Yeah, it used to be insane. Y'all youngins don't understand like what we used to go through.
And to be fair, I watched Best of Both Worlds on TBS or TNT back in the day, so I didn't have to wait 6 months. But I had to wait.
You child.
I know. I'm a little boy.
But yeah, season finales used to, and you'd be tuning into the season finale, and you'd be like, what's going to happen? And a lot of times they would end on a cliffhanger, and you'd have to wait all summer.
I would love, because you'd start looking at the clock, and be like, they can't wrap this up.
Yeah, 100%.
The show ends at 10 o'clock. They can't wrap this up in that amount of time.
100%.
Speaking of which, that's a good feeling.
That's what I did when I just saw the last into the, what was it, Beyond the Spider-Verse? Or Across
the Spider-Verse?
What was the second one?
The second one.
But I knew going into it that it was a part 2 of a trilogy,
and didn't know,
and that it was basically like a part 1 of the film. And so yeah, I was like, even though I didn't have my watch on at the time, I was like, I feel like I've been sitting here for a while.
Yeah,
I feel like we've got to be near the end. So
I'll say for the last about 20 minutes of that, I was like, is this where they're going to end it? Is this where they're going to end it? I'm glad they ended it where they did, because
yeah,
the cliffhangers I thought were cliffhangers, they kept upping the ante on that. That was a very good ending to that.
Great films.
Yeah,
can't wait for part 3.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out a month ago, 2 months ago,
something like that,
after the strikes.
But
I'm super excited for the next one.
Take your time and get it right, and give those animators the time they need.
Yeah, no crunch.
So
we're about no crunch here.
I'd rather they are given the time they need, and we get an amazing product.
Yeah. Even if we have to wait a little bit longer.
And that goes for Star Wars too. To bring it back to Star Wars,
yeah.
Any of the shows, I would rather they wait a little bit and take their time and get it right.
Yeah. Sort of like an off the cuff opinion is, why isn't this coming out? I want more. Feed it to me, you know?
Yeah.
But when I really sit down and think about it, obviously I want the people who are making it to love it.
Yeah.
And if you're working 60 hours a week, you're probably not loving it too much. You're not putting your heart into it at that point.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want a product made by happy people.
Yeah.
Happy cows make happy cheese or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Happy cows make happy cheese.
Yeah.
So I guess in this analogy, animators are cows.
Yes, and an animation studio is the milking machine.
Okay.
I have some drawings that I'd like to show you.
No, please no.
Illustrations.
Please no. So where are you hoping that the show goes?
I don't know. This is one of the things, I'm so wrapped up in the mystery. I kind of have no idea where it's gonna go, and I kind of like that. I mean, if what's the guy's name?
Kamir.
If he's the Dark Jedi, I'm all for that. I wonder, some of the unnamed Jedi characters might die in this fight.
Oh, 100%.
I'm assuming this Dark Force user is pretty powerful.
You've mentioned Star Trek a couple times. There were definitely, I was seeing some of the people on the screen. I was like, that dude might as well be wearing a red a red robe, because
that'd be so funny.
He ain't making it back.
Yeah. Not even gonna give us his name, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is that Kildor with them?
I don't know.
I hope he's not. I hope he survives.
But I wouldn't be shocked if some of the bigger names are don't make it to the end of the season. Yord or what is her name? Yaki? Daphne Keene. Jackie. My bad. Jackie.
Oh, the girl with the spikes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daphne Keene. X-23.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, she's badass.
She's gonna pop some claws out of her feet.
Yeah, so I wish she would.
Yeah, that would help in this coming fight.
Yeah, but
I don't think she'll die.
in fact,
I think Soul
in fact,
will probably die.
might be more deadly. Asked Tyrion Moss about that, because it was a dagger that took her out.
That's true. Yeah,
Not
more deadly than a lightsaber.
Yeah. So again, I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Lightsaber cauterizes the wound.
Mm-hmm.
You're not bleeding out at that point. But
I like they've paid special attention to. She's trying to kill a Jedi without using a weapon, and a Jedi won't attack an unarmed opponent. And granted, I mean, if you're punching someone, I feel like you're an armed, you know, you're not armed, but you are aggressive.
I hear you.
So it seems like a weird rule for the Jedi to follow, but they're playing into it. I don't know. I'm okay with that too. I don't know if I don't know why I'm defending that, but
I mean,
I have a problem with throwing knives killing someone instantly. Like, how you getting that deep? How hard you throwing that knife?
I mean, she has the Force.
That's true. She does. Oh, duh. Well, in Assassin's Creed, they do it too, and
You
that's
see,
kind of
making excuses.
yeah. There you go. It is
Yeah.
half the fun.
She has the Force.
And I think some people get upset when the headcanon they've made up to make up for problems doesn't jive with the head or the real canon that they
Yeah.
make to.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem. I think that's part of the problem that across like a lot of media
Mhm.
in this day and age, whether that's Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, DC,
Yeah.
like
Anything people are passionate about.
like anything people are passionate about, they make up their headcanon and they're filling in the gaps and they're speculating about where the story's going to go. And
so
like
it sort of feels like it's theirs.
yeah, and they're trying and they take ownership of it and they're like, this is where this is where I would take the story. So like you said, when in their mind the story goes right, but the actual story goes left, they get upset about that.
Mhm.
And
I empathize with that.
I do to a certain extent, but because I am one of the, I mean, I'll admit I'm one of the biggest speculators you'll find. I love
Yeah.
thinking about where I would take the story and where I think it should go. But again, as long as it's done well, as long as it goes left and it's done well,
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to get mad over. Like,
Yeah.
it's not my story. I wasn't hired by Lucasfilm to make this show.
And if you think you could do a better job than them, why don't you go apply?
100%.
Yeah.
Like
I'm with you. Like, because I get attached to stuff. I get pretty upset when things don't go the way I want. But I kind of realize that it's never going to go exactly the way I want.
Yeah.
Because I don't work there, and because I don't share a mind with any of these people who do. So you have to take it all in stride, and you can still
100%.
think about the things that you created and the things that you love.
Yeah.
You can write fan fictions.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what you want to do, more power to you. When I was a kid, I would write a lot of Star Wars stories.
Create your own website and start publishing, publishing your own, create your own new EU.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
Or pick up where the old EU left off. Do whatever you want. Don't threaten people who are doing their job.
And if you are, bring back the Uzan Vong.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were the best.
Yeah, they were cool.
Yeah.
My other friend just the other day was saying how they should bring Uzan Vong back.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening either, but we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, like he was saying, don't be a jerk to people doing their jobs. And
let's just think about the Jedi Code before we start posting online.
Yeah.
Can we all agree to that?
Yeah.
Jedi Code. There is no motion. There is peace. There is no ignorance. There is knowledge. There is no passion. There is serenity. So don't be too passionate about your fandoms. There is no chaos. There is harmony. And there is no death. There is the Force. So even if you threaten someone's life online, shame on you, first of all. But secondly, they just become one with the Force, and you don't. So
yeah,
you don't even know what you're talking about.
100%. Boom. You didn't see Force Ghost Darth Tyrannus.
Yeah,
So there.
he couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it. You know who could? Qui-Gon.
Yeah, I love Qui-Gon.
Obi-Wan.
Let's stop. Let's quit while we're ahead. I think that was a great first episode
Yeah.
of our show, and a great fourth episode of Acolyte.
Absolutely.
And
I look forward to talking more with you.
Yeah, and you as well.
Sweet.
We'll talk about the Acolyte this coming Tuesday.
Episode 5.
One of these.